We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get 50 after Monday Night Raw?
What it do? What it do? Go ahead.
What's good? What's good, folks? Good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. And it is Battleground post show, even though it's like the day after. We got caught up last night. It was a double whammy. It was either AEW and NXT at the exact same time. We cannot be in two places at all times, even though there is two of us. So we decided we'll do AEW last night and NXT tonight or today.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Also, it's not fair to go live when we got a whole show. I'm not trying to compete against Double or Nothing. We don't want to destroy Tony Khan's ratings. We don't want to double book ourselves with that. But hey, man, we here today, man. Me, Driz, bro, and it's we watched Battleground this morning, obviously, because Double or Nothing was an absolute movie. But that's not why we're here. We're not here for that.
We are here for our peoples from NXT who put on a great show. I know when you think Battleground, you think B-list pay-per-views across the board, but this was a solid show. A very solid show.
Yeah, I agree. It's always like that, too, because I feel like going into the preview show, we're like, ain't nothing like a lot that we're super excited about. But, the talent always delivers, and I'm excited. I mean, I think a lot of shock happened last night. We're going to get to talk about the main event. Some faces popped up from the other side, get to talk about that. And, of course, the women's division probably coming out on top. And, I mean, you want to just kick it off, man? The first match on the card that happened last night?
Always as usual. And this was the match that we said was going to be one of the best one period of the whole weekend. We saw round two between Sol Ruka, the North American Women's Champion, and the Kalani Jordan. Ladies and gentlemen, the first match was epic. The second match was even more amazing than the first. I didn't even think they could sit there and find a way to top themselves, but yet here we are with them topping themselves. I almost want to call it a match of the year candidate. I'm not sure if I want to go that far this early and say that, but they are living in that world. This could have been this is match of the year candidate for me.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at it. I feel like this one was better because I think they found a balance of what they were trying to do last one, but they added a little bit more technical wrestling to it, a little bit more striking, a little bit more physicality. I think Kalani Jordan is really hitting a new stride. Personally, I think she's really, been playing a little bit more of the sassy heel, but she's allowing that to also display within her character work in ring too. And I thought she really had a great showing yesterday. Her and Sol Ruka, man, these two women can jump out the gym with the best of them. They athletically are two of the most gifted people on the entire roster. And I made a tweet this morning. Next time I want to see these two women wrestle each other is on the big stage at a WrestleMania. Like I feel like that isn't a far-fetched statement. I think they both are super talented enough where that could very well be a possibility. Sol Ruka to me has showed you all tools of being a legit superstar in this industry. Nothing short of sensational. And I think this reign is going to be one for the books. Like, I think she is the epitome of what the North American champ should be from the lineage of what, because this is new to us. We don't know too much about the women's North American title, but we know about the North American title on the men's side, and we knew that was a worker title. Like, you had some straight workers with that. Like, from the Adam Coles to the Ricochet and Carmelo Hayes. Like, I think Sol Ruka, in my opinion, kind of fits that mold of those people.
Absolutely. Is it? I know you said it's a possibility. I think it's a spoiler to say that they're gonna be a WrestleMania main event. Did it like just watching the beginning of that? Do you just sit there and see WrestleMania headlines with these two doing that exact same sequence? Because you know how they go back and forth with the style that Ricochet and Will Ospreay made famous.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just kind of see the bright lights, the big stage, Kalani on one side and Soruka on the other.
It wouldn't surprise me, man. I like, given how young they are, both of them being in their like early to mid 20s, and I feel like they just have the entirety of their career ahead of them. Also, the fact that like we forget these women are like pretty new into this industry. Like, they only been wrestling for like 3 or 4 years as a whole. So I don't even think we've seen the best of them as wrestlers yet. Nor have I seen. The one thing I mentioned yesterday when we were even doing the watch along, because this match was talked about during the watch along, I was like, if these women can kind of figure out the character aspect of it, I think they are main event talents ASAP. Like, they're one of those. They're like, it's like that prospect that is so good, but they just haven't realized how good they are yet, and it's gonna click one point.
You just wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Like it's just a matter of time. But these first two matches. Like, first off, there has to be a third. They're 1-1 now. We need the rubber match at this point, and I'm not gonna make my stand and deliver announcement just yet. But don't be surprised if this is the match at stand and deliver. So Ruka, Kalani Jordan, because they're showing right now that they are light years above most of the people in that women's roster. Maybe on the men's roster as well, because they cooked. They've been cooked.
For sure. And this was a match that didn't even have a big build to it. I feel like that's just Sean knowing that this is old reliable. I know I can go to this match, and I know my girls are gonna just go out there and put a show like on a big stage for NXT. Like, this is in an arena. This is a standalone PLE. This ain't at the PC with the same 75 people they see every week. This is like a people came out solely for this match and for the whole show, obviously. But they had the tough task of opening, man. And I mean, give it up for the ladies on both shows last night, because Mercedes and Hayter did the same thing, and these four women had to go against each other at the same time slot, and that they both bookers knew that I can rely on them to start off the night and get us set the tone of what's going to happen continuously for the show.
And absolutely, they all knocked it out of the park. We watched these. I know this is an NXT show, but that Sasha Banks Jamie Hayter match. And you know what? I wouldn't have started it any other way. I wouldn't start NXT any other way without those two, Kalani and Soul, going first. So
yeah,
going head to head, it was the right move. But both matches absolutely amazing. I had to and we're trying to talk about the whole match, but what we really need to talk about is that ending, that Soul Snatcher. I had to stop the show and rewatch it like 3 times just to figure out the mechanics on how you even twist your body enough to do it like that. Like, I don't even know, how do you call that? Like that.
the set, like, I know when we do our little rating system for WR, innovation is one of the key factors that go into the rating system. And to me, like, I feel like you need to just give her extra points off of what she does with that soul snatcher. Like, that one was incredible. Like, it was completely different. Um, I love that Kalani was playing to not trying to get to it prior to the entire match. But once Soul gets that opportunity, you give her that. It's like the same thing with like an RKO. You know, you give her that split second, she gonna be able to hit that rope, flip up, bam, get you right there, and it's game over after that. Another question though. Zarya last night, she got kicked out. I don't. So I guess the next question is going forward. We're leading into this eventual match between her and Soul, or eventual rift between them as a pairing. Um, I'm still. I haven't changed my mind on how I feel about her. Did I freeze?
Yes, you did, but I got you. It's the rift is coming. The rift is coming. Is it gonna be a situation where Zarya's ways rub off on Soul so much that that Soul becomes the heel in this situation, or are we gonna just let Zarya be the monster that she's supposed to be?
You gotta let her be the monster she's supposed to be, right?
I agree because I really didn't like the fact that they went to humanize her so fast. It's like
Yeah,
this is normally something you've done after she's done all types of horrible things to people. Like think of what it was with Kane and X Pac. Kane had already been like years of destroying people, try and humanize him to make him more relatable. Zarya, they just kind of went right at the books and like, oh yeah, she's just we're gonna humanize her now, and it kind of takes away from the mystique of her that she has.
you know what, they did something that kind of irritated me a little bit. Obviously, never gonna complain about seeing a lovely young lady looking lovely, but Zarya was walking out the rampway. How they do that, like like the how they do in the NBA stuff, where they
Hmm.
walk in the backstage with the suitcase. They had to walk out, but she had the face paint on. She had like no makeup, dressed all nice, hair straight, sunglasses on, and whatnot. And I was like, come on, like what? I don't know. I feel like that's a bit of a nuanced thing. Like I feel like she should just have her face paint at all times when you show her. Penta walking around with his mask. You know what I'm saying?
Walks
Like,
around his mask. The what the 4 or 5 months that Moxley was walking around with an eye patch on. Like
yeah.
you gotta kind of lean into that a little bit, but it feels I'm not the way that they went so fast to humanize Zarya makes me think that she's not gonna be, and that maybe Sol Ruka is the one that's gonna be the more heartless monster. As much as I am for things being different, I think they did this a little too fast. But that's just me nitpicking. They're all gonna be it's gonna be a good story so far. So far it has been, and it's gonna be even more good. So, but that is our North American title match. But move on to the next match, and we're gonna go ahead and get this out of the way now because Jesus Christ, Hank and Tank and Josh Briggs versus the Culling. Not a bad match.
Hmm.
Not a bad match at all. All these guys actually can work pretty well. Hank and Tank are improving. I This is one of those unique cases where giving them the belts, they start getting better. And but they still give me heavy machinery 2.0, hype bros 2.0 vibes. And
Hmm.
I mean, I guess it's working, but that's one thing I want to point out in this match. The dynamic of Josh Briggs and Jensen, Brooks Jensen, I don't know what it was, but there was a point in time in that match where it just kind of everything stood still, and those two had like a good two minutes of just going back and forth, and I wanted it. I enjoyed that part of it. Josh Briggs, I forget. I think because he's been trapped in that tag team with Inamura for so long that you forget how good of a wrestler he is. And
Yeah.
Brooks Jensen he pulls something out of Brooks Jensen that makes it even better. I kind of want that feud now with this aspect of it, with Brooks Jensen in the culling and Josh Briggs trying to maybe save his friend or something. Like I want that story now. But how did you feel about the match?
I mean, I thought it was a cool little sprint for the most part. I think that I think Hank and Tank have a good base of how, like, as a tag team and as wrestlers, I think they know their niche and they know how to utilize their niche to the best of it. You know, being able to do the little taunt, interacting, fast power moves, the whole nine. Like they do it very well. And I do think they are slowly developing as a, you know, formidable tag team in a division that is starting to rebuild on NXT. But I mean, you even think about it down the road. Like I think WWE is trying to build a little bit more emphasis in their tag division, how they have made signings on Raw, SmackDown, and all of that. So to me, I feel like it is something that is beneficial for them. I feel like you continuously let them have good showings and kind of develop on the fly that way. And I mean, I thought the match was fine. I don't disagree. I think the bread and butter is with Briggs and Jensen eventually feuding. I think you have to make that callback. I think in a division where the men's side needs a lot more of a focal point in the singles division, I feel like you could benefit building Josh Briggs and having him be one of those guys. Like I think it's about time. I think he's been here for a while. You know, it's do or die. To be real with you, you got to see if he can really do it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And I got confidence that he could potentially do it, but you know, kind of keeping him in a holding pattern doesn't benefit him a lot. So I think you know, really give him an opportunity. He looked great at a stand and deliver last year in
Yeah.
Philly in the threat match. So you know, have a little bit more confidence. The Cullen though, I I just can't get into him, bro. I just cannot get into him. I don't
They're
know what it
they're
is, but
growing. They're growing on me. They are growing on me. They actually look like a full faction. I, I don't know if it's because I don't know as much about Nico Vance, but
mm-hmm.
it's growing on me. I'll say that much. It is growing on me. Hank and Tank are getting better each week. Like I don't know if it's giving them the belts has truly lit a fire under them and like, no, we can do this and we can run with this, and they're doing good work in a small tag
I
team
think
division.
Tank Ledger is a star in the making, bro.
Oh, absolutely. He gives me Otis. He gives me that same aura that Otis has. Like he's
Yeah.
big, he's just larger than life, and Hank is very mild mannered. He's
Mm-hmm.
very mild mannered. He's not somebody like you're expecting to see Tank go out there and the crowd just instantly get behind him. And Hank just kind of feeds off that energy. But I feel like if you didn't have that, Hank would probably fall into the back scene, the behind scenes and everything. And I don't want that for him. Like I know they had a story from
Yeah.
in 2.0 of him being going from security to this. So
Yeah.
we gotta work on that. We gotta work on that. Let me run to the comments real quick. We have what bit? What's going on to just was it just apart? You driving and
Yeah, that's
listening?
the homie Rosario.
Yo, bro, keep your eyes on the road. You can listen to us, but do not take your eyes to see what the hell we are doing. Then we got the Taylor Jones. TNA is an embarrassing. How could you make their? Oh my, come on now. First off,
Taylor.
Taylor, you might be new to TNA. They do stuff like this. We also have from just apart Taylor TNA no longer. We'll reach that a little bit later.
We're gonna talk about that. Let's get through these middle ones.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about that because I think that's the that main event is definitely the most noteworthy thing that came out of this show.
Yeah.
Just the part Zarya is turning soon. We're gonna wait and
And
see, man. We're gonna wait and see. But deep
DJ
down,
also turning. I see that.
I can see it too. I think they like to do that. You know how they do, bro. They like swerves a lot.
Yes, I mean it's all good and bad. It's all good for a twist every now and then. All right, but next match, the family implodes. Tony D, the Don versus the Underboss. Channing, Stacks, Lorenzo in a very hard hitting match,
Mhm.
but so much story to be told in this, and not I didn't expect I expected a whole lot more interference, but this was a really straight up, no punches pulled. They let him stand and bang. I appreciate that for this story, but with all the other many pieces that are involved in it, I really did expect a whole lot more craziness. But I don't hate it. Stacks is being made into a star, and
Yeah,
Tony and the consigliere
I can't say that word for shit too.
consigliere. It's like
It's
I
super
don't know,
Larry. I
but
I need to watch
uh,
more mob movies, I guess.
Christofino returns and just kind of stares, and it grabs Tony's attention for Stacks to steal the match.
Hmm.
Is where does Luca reside? Like Channing was his guy, and
Bro,
Tony brought him in.
that's why I really like the finish for that reason because they didn't give us the up and like, oh, I'm siding with him or I'm siding with him. You kind of just left there like, yo, who is he? Like, you can tell he's like kind of even split. Like, he might not even know who he wants to side with yet. I thought the thoughts were going in his head last night during the show. He's like, that's my boy, but that's the Don. Like, who am I rocking with right now? And then you know who wasn't there? The
Rizzo.
Riz. Yeah.
Which brings me back to the other night when Stacks went to the safe house. Is Rizzo okay?
That
Like,
is a good point. Do we need to put a missing people's report on her?
we need an APB because where's Rizzo at? We're concerned.
I
Like,
am concerned for sure. I was excited. I was excited for this match. It's just because, like you mentioned, the storyline is what's kind of like this has been something that has been like on the build for a while. Obviously, the family is like one of the best teams factions that we've had in like recent history on NXT, and the budding turn of events between Stacks and Tony has kind of been something that we've all been waiting to see how it's gonna unravel and whatnot. And to me, like you said, man, I think this really kind of helped establish Stacks as a guy, as a new character. And I'm curious to see what comes after this, man. I feel like this is not the end of this story. I think we have a lot left to desire within it. The family is gonna be feuding, man. But we ain't gonna have Steve Harvey there. Like it's gonna be kind of crazy. So I'm definitely interested and intrigued overall.
I'm all for the ride, but there's so many other pieces they could add to it. See Riz get what's gonna happen with her. Who's Luca siding with? I really still believe that there's a possibility that Dimes could make a return. I don't know. Dimes might come back from the dead or something. I don't know, but I really do feel like because even even in the first visual of Stacks and Luca together after he turned at what was it? What was standing deliver? What was it? The last PLE.
Mm,
We thought Luca was sleeping with the fishes.
we did because there wasn't a lot said about him what was
So,
going on. And obviously,
oh,
you know how when they tell you swimming in the fishes, that means you know
you up
got
the
the
creek.
pink slip by the WWE.
They
But
said you up the creek or something. But
what's the other dude's name? Two Dimes.
yeah, Dimes.
I was recently shout outs to the homie SP3. Um, I was on his show last week, and he got me hit. This is the greatest character change in the world, bro. He went from a mobster to a frat boy. He's on
Yes,
ROH on a frat boy team.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
talk about taking the American way.
Bro's
Moved
in the
from
witness.
Italy to the U.S. and became a frat boy.
He in witness protection, man. We can't be sitting there blowing his spot like that.
He went from
Like, bro,
Italian to Greek, huh?
he hiding out there. You got to do what he got to do to survive.
I
All
respect
right. You know, like, hey, you do what you got to do out here in these streets. Before we go to the next match, Zach, happy Memorial Day. Yes, we did start off today without saying happy Memorial Day. Thank you to all the veterans who have given their
for
life
sure.
for us. But all right, next match, let's get to it. And probably the one that we thought was going to be our main event. Stephanie Vaquer versus the Juggernaut Jordan Grace. Another really good match. This is one of, like, we knew the women's matches were going to be really good. I don't think we knew how good they were going to be. And as we said, the same as what it was for Soul and Kalani, Stephanie and Jordan tore the house down. Absolutely great match. Does Jordan great like I know when Jordan came in, she had this aura that possibly she's women on the NXT roster.
Hmm.
Does this loss to Stephanie humble her enough to make you think that maybe she isn't as big as we thought she is? Maybe she fits in just right with this roster, and it's
Hmm.
not as the learning curve, the gap isn't as big as we think it is. What do you think?
You know what? I don't think that's a bad way to look at it. And to me, my honest opinion is I think it just tells a lot more about what Stephanie has become as a superstar on this roster. I'm looking at it from a standpoint where everybody was kind of key on Julia being signed from her work in Stardom, and obviously Jordan being one of the biggest stars in TNA, and being a big time pickup for him. But Stephanie, a lot wasn't noted about her besides that. Obviously, we know that she was in CMLL doing work and had an incredible match versus Mercedes at Forbidden Door, and being a IWGP Women's Champion. But a lot of people were like, oh, we're a little familiar, but we don't know her body of work compared to the other two women. And I'm looking at all three of these women. I think Stephanie has been leaps and bounds showing more of the star power than them. And that's something that you just don't know what happens, man. It's a fresh page, a fresh start when you come to the WWE. WWE fans are not as privy of knowing about everything in the whole totality of professional wrestling. They know what they know, but they know what they want to know and what they like from when people come in there. And to me, Stephanie came in there and she instantly just shined like a star. And now she's got the devil's kiss. That's something that everybody's looking forward to seeing. She comes out looking like $1,000,000, and the ability of in-ring work she does is second to none. She's one of the best professional wrestlers in the entire world. So to me, I feel like it's more that I don't know if I don't know if it's a case of Jordan not being who she is, but she, like you mentioned, she kind of fits in where there's a lot more stars than you could imagine. And that says more about the division itself. Her taking a loss last night, I'm not worried for her per se. I think it does kind of make sense that she lost now that we kind of have an idea, especially after last night with in what is it, 2 weeks from now, Worlds Collide. Stephanie is gonna probably shake it up with one of the two wrestlers that popped out from the Triple I. last night. I'm not too familiar with them. I'm not gonna act like I'm familiar, and I don't watch a lot of Triple I. But those two women are on the roster, and they made it a point that she's probably gonna be wrestling one of them. And obviously, Stephanie having familiarity wrestling in Mexico, it makes sense. But for Jordan Grace, I mean, what do you think? She gets her on the second go around for the title, or
No,
do you think she maybe goes to SmackDown Raw? Because I don't. The thing is this: we're talking about this on NXT. I don't know if I feel confident with her being a big star going to a Raw or SmackDown right now.
I agree with you. I'm not looking to see Jordan go to the main roster. At least not at this point in time. Stephanie definitely is a bit leaps and bounds the top of this division. Jordan Grace absolutely fits in, and I kind of look at her as well as they call it a juggernaut for a reason. As the juggernaut is a unmovable object that it picks up momentum as it goes. Now, Jordan Grace jumping into NXT, she's just getting going. So she doesn't pick up the momentum that she's normally running through people now. And she's going to have to get like this is gonna be a bit of a trip up, definitely. But I really feel like as she gets more momentum under her, we're gonna see the juggernaut really get going, and then she'll be ready for that main roster run through everybody attitude and mentality that she has in her matches, and I absolutely can't wait for it. I've been watching Jordan for a long time, and it kind of seems to be the same story every time. She stops, but the moment she gets going and gets enough momentum through her, she's running through opponents. And I don't think it'll be any different. It's the exact same thing as it was in the Indies, as it was for TNA. Now she's in NXT. She's gonna start running through people eventually. She's definitely grown so much over the years as a wrestler, and it's been one of the more enjoyable things that I've actually seen in wrestling is watching her from when she was wrestling on the I think it's WEXE or whatever those I forget what those indie channels are because they come on my free channels on Roku now, but back in the day with those back in 2017 and 18 to now where she is an absolute monster. I don't want to call her a genetic freak because that's probably copyrighted, but a monster on out here, and it's the evolution's just been amazing. She's gonna be good. She's gonna be just fine. And a part of this division, they all just seem to lift each other up. So it's only a
Yeah.
matter of time.
Also,
I,
we haven't really seen Jordan get a full scope run on NXT. So I feel like it's still a lot of meat on the bone for her to, eventually make her ways, get herself back to that title match, and eventually potentially beat Stephanie for the belt. Beat Sol Ruka for a belt. It could be one of those cases. Like I know a lot is given on them, like people put contracts in there what Jordan has accomplished in TNA, but like you can really like NXT. I know it's developmental, but like there's still a television show at the end of the day, and I feel
Mhm.
like it's important to have key people on the roster for you to want to watch the television show every week.
Next match, and absolutely a surprise that we said after that last promo very well could happen. Obafemi defended his NXT World Title against Miles Bourne, Randy Orton Jr. And you know what? I think he's earned it enough that we can stop calling him that.
Yeah.
He is no longer Randy Orton Jr. He is now first round Miles Bourne. My man's put on a huge performance. He stood up to the ruler and he banged with the best of them. Now, granted, he did not beat Obafemi, but I'm absolutely sure he earned Obafemi's respect because it takes a lot to stand with that man and not only once knock him off his feet, but multiple times. Like Miles Bourne gave Obafemi a lot to deal with, and Oba. took it all in stride, and then he remembered he's the ruler, and he flexed his true strength and ended the match at when he needed to end it. But was a star created enough for Miles Bourne to be inserted into more of these title matches and not just the world title, but the North American title as well now?
I think so. I think Miles Bourne, when you look at a lot of stuff that checks boxes of being a viable contender in this division, I think he checks a lot of it. I think he looks the part in regards to being uh a wrestler. I think he's got a build that he's a pretty big dude, man. Like I know Ober's the biggest dog in the yard, but Miles was standing toe to toe with him, and athletically he does things that are very impressive. I think he's got a very very solid repertoire, bell for bell, and the thing that makes him stick out is the fact that he's unapologetically himself. Him telling his story, having a bit of empathy of what he's going through in his entire life, being in, having a disability with his hearing and whatnot, and rolling with it, and really truly being an inspiration to that standpoint. And I think that always is gonna win the hearts of us wrestling fans, because if I can respect you as a person and hear your story, then I'm gonna want to root for you. And he kind of has a little bit of that, potentially being a very, big baby face on this roster. Whether he wins this title, whether he wins the North American title, I think he definitely established himself and made a name. Now, on the other side with Obafemi, though, I think it's time to give him a little bit more respect. And I say that because he has now become the veteran, the ring leader. You know what I'm saying? We know that Gunther's the ring general, but this dude is the ring leader, and he's making matches work with people that we don't have high expectations for. Previously with Eddie Thorpe, now Miles Bourne, like they're putting him in positions where they're like, you're this much of a star, and we have this much trust in you in the ring that you're gonna make the person we're gonna put you against, even if they lose, they're gonna be built up and gain merit after that. And I think that's a lot to say about Obafemi for how young he is in his career, but just how much of dominance that he's put out there and what he's been to this men's division. He's one of the more unsung MVPs on the roster.
I absolutely agree with you. I want to go back to Miles for a sec. Um,
Yeah.
Miles Bourne absolutely stood out in this match.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a piece to this with making Miles Bourne a huge star in this moment, making him a star. Is this star big enough to rub off on somebody, say, who at the beginning of the match when he came out didn't seem to have that same respect for Miles and one Charlie Dempsey? Because I kind of see this
Yeah.
going. I see it in my eyes that they made this match happen to make Miles a star, so we can make Charlie a star as well. Is Obafemi's aura and ability to make Miles Bourne a star and put him over be enough to probably make Miles have enough aura to uplift one Charlie Dempsey? Because I really do see that happening.
I think so. I think if Dempsey plays the heel role well enough, you have enough, you know, want for Miles Bourne to come out victorious. Just like what I was saying, like he's got a lot of empathy for the fans, but like Dempsey coming off as a hater, he's not showing respect and love and the praise that Miles is gonna get. And I think that's gonna play to this storyline. I think the word around town on Tuesday will be, yo, Miles Bourne, man, you went toe to toe with the baddest man in the entire roster. You are a made man now. And I don't think Dempsey's going like that. So I'm excited for it. That team has a lot of star power, by the way. Um, Also with Tavion Heights, also with Ren Sinclair. That's one of the better built groups in regards that I have a lot of faith in individual success for all of them once it does break up.
I don't think we've had a team in NXT with as much individual success as what No Quarter Catch Crew potentially has since the Undisputed Era. Maybe
Era, maybe.
that might be the
I wouldn't be
last.
mad at that.
That might be the last team that legit had enough solo power that they all could become big stars after the fact. Um, as you said, Ren Sinclair, a surprise. This entire group was a surprise as it started off as a Drew Gulak led thing, and it's slowly snowballing into something that's uplift out is literally putting over all four of those individuals. Tavion Heights, a major star in Japan, had a great
Yeah,
excursion over there. Coming back in this Tuesday, we'll be having tomorrow. We'll be having a match with Mike Santana on
crazy.
NXT. Charlie Dempsey potentially in. We see it a mile away. We're gonna go ahead and call it now. I really see Charlie Dempsey starting a feud with Miles Bourne, and those two taking each other to new heights to a point where what we just said with Briggs and same said for them. Like it's just gonna uplift all of them and rebuild that main event scene that's been um kind of on and been lukewarm for a while now. And Ren Sinclair, who has also been just a very unexpected star in the women's division, even after her amazing Iron Survivor showing last November, she like the No Quarter Catch crew has gonna be one of those NXT Hall of Fame things. It's gonna be a thing that's gonna truly show how good having a faction can work out for you.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I'm excited to see what the future is a hold, and I'm excited for Tuesday, man. We're gonna obviously be back tomorrow with this, but I'm hyped to see Santana versus Tavion. I think that's gonna be a sleeper match.
Absolutely. Before we hit the main event for the night, we gotta say what up, Handsome Grim. He's got great news for us, phenomenal news for us. He's AJ Styles now. He's phenomenal.
Okay,
But
okay.
that great news is my man has passed his board exam.
Hey,
My
let's
man,
go. Let's
that
go,
is
Grim. I
good
see you,
stuff.
bro. Congrats.
Congratulations. Keep doing great stuff out here in this world. Let's hit this main event up real quick.
Let's do it.
Hi. Trick Williams, Joe, Average Joe, or Mello's bitch. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Trick Williams proves that he is one of one and he ain't nobody's bitch, as
Nope.
he has beaten Joe Hendry to become the first NXT wrestler to hold a TNA title. I went out on a limb the other night and said how much I didn't like this. I'm gonna give myself full screen for
Talk
this.
about it. Talk about it.
I did not like this. I said I understand why you would do it. Trick Williams is a major star in wrestling, but I am not a fan for contractor wrestlers in another company holding another company's title without a real 50-50 relationship. This WWE TNA relationship is not a 50-50 relationship. It kind of goes one way because the major stars of TNA are on NXT, but the biggest star to show up in TNA has at the moment been Trick Williams. We haven't had any other crossovers that are breaking the internet. It's all TNA guys going to NXT, and in Joe Hendry's case, the main roster as well. I have never been a fan of this, especially even after Belt Collector Kenny did it. I wasn't a fan. I don't really count Christian because Christian is a TNA alumni. Him holding that belt doesn't do it. Doesn't yeah no. But I really feel company to sit there and give them your world title with that. It's one thing if it's your X Division title, if it's your international title, your Knockouts tag title or something, but not your world title. A nationally recognized world title. The NXT championship, although I call it a world championship, is not a nationally recognized world title. If you have a nationally recognized world title, that's something on a whole different level. You will never see the NWA title go to WWE and be lost on their paper on their networking. Like it that might be the old school in me. This is where me and Ignacio probably are very similar at, but I'm not trying to see a contractor wrestler from another company hold your biggest belt.
Ooh, man, oh man, oh man. I feel that, and I actually don't disagree with it. The only reason I'm happy is because it's Trick Williams getting the gold.
Like,
Because Trick is in unprecedented territories right now. He's accomplished a lot, and I think we have to really have a serious conversation about putting Trick Williams in the potential Mount Rushmore category for NXT superstars once his time in NXT is done, because he's accomplished every, you know, opportunity to win gold, man. He's got the two belts there. Now he's the TNA champion, being a NXT superstar. You saw the TNA making the tweet of the long lineage of people that are champs. You saw AJ Styles have the video vignette talking about the title, and he beat the Golden Goose. He beat the guy who wrestled at WrestleMania. You know, Trick didn't even wrestle at WrestleMania, but this man wrestled at WrestleMania against Randy Orton, the internet sensation. And to me, that really just puts Trick in a whole different stratosphere. And say what you want to say about the guy. Y'all, a lot of these people on the IWC do the same thing with Jay Uso, where they're like, well, you know, he's over and he has the song, but he's a song merchant, blah, blah, blah. Just shut up, man. Like, the dude is charismatic and he's not a bad worker. Star quality is star quality. There's a reason why when his music hits, people are yelling, whoop that Trick. They have a sense of relatability with him. This is interesting to see how it goes, man, because to me, I don't like, if something like this was to happen, I would have seen a NXT women winning a knockouts title, because I feel like the division is a little bit thin on the knockout side at the moment. Their men's division is pretty stacked.
yeah.
I mean, they got Nick Nemeth, they got Moose, they got Mustafa Ali. You know, they got a lot of guys on there. Obviously, Joe Hendry, Santana, who we just talked about. Does this give you an inkling of what's next for Joe Hendry?
It does not. I'm slightly worried actually.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Hendry's biggest peak was gonna be winning that belt because we're gonna be honest. Joe Hendry is a character. He is a character, and he's not known for having 5-star matches. This might have been one of his longer matches actually,
True.
and I worry that he's going to slip back down into the where he was beforehand, where he's just, oh, he's a meme. Hi, I'm Joe Hendry. We're gonna do spin. I don't know if they are. I don't have faith in TNA to bring him back up to that. I don't care how big he's gonna end up being in wrestling. I really feel like they are going to put him back down, and because they do that with some of them sometimes. I don't know why. It's like they don't see the worth in their journey to their road to redemption and stuff like I don't know why TNA does that. It might be just a matter of the new management and everything. But with Scott Demore, I was a little bit more believing in them. This is still two companies trying to book for one belt, and this belt belongs to another company. So I would love to see that Joe Hendry be okay and that he can continue being the major star he is in wrestling. Because as big of a star as Tricky is, Joe Hendry transcend is biggest star in all is bigger star in all of wrestling. Like they're not. There are people in WWE going to whoop that trick. There may be a few people in other small companies going to whoop that trick, but everybody in wrestling does. I believe in Joe Hendry. Everybody does that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm hoping that Joe Hendry can rebound from this, and that TNA does not.
It's crazy though. He had the crowd on his side last night too, and that's an NXT crowd.
Yeah,
Like people were waving their hands after the match in like solidarity for him losing the belt, which is so it says a lot about him more than
yeah.
anything
Mhm.
that you're in enemy territory technically, and the fans rooting for you. Um, but let's talk about before we get off though for what's
Mhm.
next. Trick versus Santana potentially. You
I
saw
kind
the
of wish.
up. Santana said he's gunning for whoever wins the belt last night.
Yeah, and is Santana our hope to get that belt back on TNA? Because I don't see too many other ones that are gonna be willing to take on that crusade. Um, like they with the recent loss of Ace Austin, I thought he would have been a really good candidate to put into
Crazy.
that fight, but Santana may end up being the hope for it, and I'm not against it. Santana has had a long road to being a main eventer, a solo act in TNA, in wrestling in general. We saw glimpses of it in AEW, and ever since his return to TNA, and even just watching him on shows like House of Glory and stuff, he's shown that he has that main event aura. He has the ability to be a main eventer, and I think that Santana definitely could be the man to save TNA and bring the belt back home. But Trick Williams is Trick Williams. He is who we think he is, and I think it would be foolish of us to try and say that to go ahead and book Trick's loss before it even happens because it very well could be a wow. Because Trick is good.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. This allows. So, do you like the idea of Trick playing like double agent with TNA and it's not double agent, but like kind of going back and
Pulling
forth,
double duty.
double duty, right? Instead of him getting called up to the main roster.
I, I kind of feel I don't know.
Because
I really
Trick's,
don't.
I'm thinking about it too. Trick has been here for a minute now.
Trick's been here since 2.0.
Yeah,
He's been here
so
since
we're like
2.0.
5 years almost now, right?
Yes, and even though I try not to count the first couple of years just because he was a more manager
Right.
uh valet style, he's been good these last couple of years as an in-ring performer. I don't know if they're I kind of want to see him on the main roster just because I know that crowd reaction to whoop that trick is going to be something. Him doing a trick shot is going to be something. When you start doing the history between him and Carmelo, because they're gonna revisit that eventually. That's going to be something. TNA is cool, but I really don't. I feel
Yeah,
like I like it more for the women than I do for the men.
I agree. I that's kind of where I'm at too. I feel like obviously Jordan Grace wouldn't be a good one because we would be like, what you coming back here for? But
Yeah,
like having like I don't know, before maybe like Roxanne before she got called up, potentially winning that knockouts, having familiarity prior being, she wrestled in I think her and Deanna wrestled on TNA
yes.
for the ROH title before um
Deanna
she got
actually beat Roxanne for it, I believe.
yeah, she did. It was a really good match.
Mhm.
And then or someone like we could name anybody really.
I was
Known
really on board with Cora Jade winning the Knockouts title.
yes. Elena
Like
Black might win it though.
that absolutely may happen. She's already booking shows. I really feel like it's a matter of time before she ends up back
Yeah.
in TNA.
I think people like her, Gigi Dolan, I feel like those are shoe-in pickups if they want them to come by. Because I mean, honestly, we're looking at the knockouts. we just had a weekend where someone as talented as Masha Slamovich is feuding with the likes of Tessa Blanchard, Alicia Fox. No knock on Alicia Fox, knock on Tessa Blanchard, but it's not you're not selling a lot of to be desired with those matchups. Tessa, obviously, with all controversy of who she is as a person, she's ruined who she is as having any merit as a wrestler. Alicia Fox, probably a lovely person. In 2025, against someone like Masha to me is like maybe a little notch below what Jordan Grace is as just borderline superstar. And to what you were saying, you have a strong pool of women on NXT. Letting one come over there, snatch the title off of her, have her run it back and have a great feud for it, it would have made a lot of sense. It would have been beneficial. Hell, man, Jada Parker. How about that?
Yes. Let Jada go over there. Let Lash go over there. Let Kalani, Zarya. I think Zarya would have been a very good one to put over there. That would have been a very good one.
Zarya versus
Masha. Oh my God.
That would be crazy.
Like, looking at that, like, great. Okay, before we wrap this up,
a couple more comments.
Hold on. There's a part one to this. Hold on.
Get the first one. Yeah.
Trick doing double duties is best for TNA. If it gets caught up, be another guy on the main roster doing us. And I agree to a certain extent because there is a need on the main roster for tag teams. Now, granted, there are. Yes, the main roster is big, but you're also trying to fill the 2.5 hours on Raw, another 3 hours on SmackDown. You need a lot. You need a big roster for that.
So now that Trick is going a little heel, potentially if he got caught up in him and Mello, reuniting, maybe turning on the Miz with Trick and then them kind of reuniting back as a tag team.
Yeah. I think that works.
I think it worked really well too.
Because I'm sure the beautiful thing about NXT now than from Black and Gold is it all runs together. There's continuity between the two shows now. So people are somewhat familiar with what happened with Trick and Mello.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to come back together on the main roster it isn't as wild as far fetched as it once was. It was where one person comes up and then like when Austin Theory left the main roster to go to the main roster, he was the way Austin Theory. He was Suffy Phone Austin Theory. Like there's continuity now, so there's people that know the stories. Let's see what else we got. He blames Triple H for not making US IC more interesting. It's interesting enough.
Who's the US champ right now?
The US champion is Jacob.
Okay, the US champ. Yeah, you're right. US champ is he's interesting as hell right now. I mean, now it's interesting. Maybe say prior to it, I won't disagree. But now they got. Jacob is just a whole different story. I think he makes the US title matter, like how Gunther made the IC title matter.
Yes, and Dom is a great person to put for the IC title now. So I think those belts are in good places now.
Now, the women's US title, we can have a conversation about that, but we can do that another day.
Yeah, that's that. And then let's see where we at. Best viewers are that's not a thing. And then just finishing up talking about the TNA universe. It's a partnership that's going on right now. They didn't say how long that TNA partnership with WWE is, did they?
I have no idea.
Like until WWE's decide they're done playing with the toys.
It seems like it. A lot of it seems like they're trying to create their own bit of
Grr.
kind of how like so. Before we go, we can talk about it real briefly. Kind of like how AEW, had the whole Forbidden Door aspect of it with New Japan and CMLL, uh, and even honestly, let's be real for a second. TNA, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
cleaner. Kenny had them belts, then Christian had the belt. Christian was not a TNA wrestler, he was an AEW wrestler. So like
Hmm.
they've had partnerships, and Tony is not privy to like be afraid to work with other promotions. I mean, he had a little bit of a relationship with GCW. You had Nick Gage wrestle Jericho. You know what I'm saying? But now it's different because historically Vince wasn't for this shit at all. Vince was
Hmm.
like, "Nah, it's WWE or nothing, or I'm gonna buy the shit." That's
Yep.
it. Now it's a little different. They did buy AAA, so we have to. I'm very curious to see how Worlds Collide is going to be because to me it looks like it's a AAA versus WWE show, and I want to see how the AAA talent are positioned, how they're shown. Because if it becomes they just book a bunch of them and all of their talent loses,
Hmm.
then I'd be a little worried. I would definitely be worried. But if it's a case where you know, like Vikingo beats Chad Gable, the team beats Legato. I think it's like Psycho Clown and Wagner Jr. and I forgot the other dude's name.
Yeah.
They beat Legato, but then Stephanie beats one of those girls. And then like they dropped the flyer. We got Lola Vice is on the card. I think
Hmm.
Javon Evans is gonna be on the card. It's gonna be interesting. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see, man. I'm like I understand the worry that people have with WWE putting their hands in the cookie jar because it's the WWE, and we've seen what they've done to the territories back in the day. Like
Hmm.
they got a track record for this stuff, but it could be different times. Maybe Hunter
It's.
sees value. They let Natty roam around in GCW and do the Crockett
Hmm.
Cup, so
Yep. And it kind of worked out better.
yeah.
And it wasn't a WWE. We're gonna run all this stuff. It was legit. It was real. So only time can tell. Only time will tell. That is it for us today. Make sure that no, we're not on the normal channel today. We are on Undercard today, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
As
man. Y'all, if
usual,
y'all haven't already, man, like, comment,
subscribe.
subscribe, man.
Like,
This is a historical moment. The first off the air that was ever shown on second channel. We might be
yes,
popping up here more, and
this might be our new home. That way, you ain't got to sit through those other guys. Like, who's watching stuff like the daily broadcast at 3 o'clock every day on the East Coast? Who's watching Take It to the Table whenever they post their stuff? Or who's watching? Well, hold on, I think Soul Separately is on this channel too. So we
watch
cool with that.
those separately.
Yeah, you can watch that, but don't watch the daily broadcast at 3 o'clock. Don't watch Take It to the Table when it happens. Don't watch any of those other guys show. Come here, watch off the air every Tuesday after NXT and whenever we have PLEs and everything. Come
Exactly,
come
man.
kick it with Clark, me, and Shad. Like just chill out with us. All right, y'all don't need that. I told you this is a take. It's a hostile takeover. Ben doesn't know it yet. Ben doesn't even. He's probably not even paying attention to this right now. But yo, watch us. Don't watch those guys. For myself, and for Shad and Clark, who is somewhere sleeping in a bed. This is off the air, and we are out.
Peace.